Becoming the man women want to fight for is not about becoming louder, richer, flashier, or more dominant than the next man. It is about becoming emotionally steady, internally grounded, and psychologically unshakable. In a world that constantly rewards attention-seeking behavior, emotional impulsivity, and endless self-promotion, the man who is calm, centered, and disciplined stands out immediately. He stands out not because he demands attention, but because his presence feels different. He feels solid. He feels safe. And safety, far more than excitement alone, is what creates deep attachment. Modern culture often presents two extreme and misleading narratives about attraction. One claims that women only want status, money, and dominance, and that a man must project power at all times to be desirable. The other suggests that a man should be endlessly agreeable, constantly available, and emotionally expressive without restraint in order to be loved. Both perspectives misunderstand the deeper psychological mechanisms of attraction. While confidence and warmth both matter, attraction is not built on performance. It is built on emotional stability combined with self-respect. Women are generally highly attuned to emotional shifts. From an evolutionary perspective, this sensitivity developed as a survival mechanism. Reading subtle cues in tone, posture, and behavior allowed them to assess safety and reliability. In modern relationships, the same sensitivity means that women quickly notice when a man is reactive, insecure, or emotionally unstable. A man who panics at uncertainty feels unsafe. A man who constantly seeks reassurance feels unstable. A man who collapses under pressure feels like an additional burden rather than a partner. In contrast, a man who regulates his emotions, who remains composed under stress, and who does not crumble or explode when challenged communicates something powerful without ever saying it directly. He communicates that he can handle life, and that message builds trust. The philosophy of Stoicism, practiced by thinkers such as Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, centers on a simple but transformative principle. You control your actions, your judgments, and your responses, but you do not control external events or other people. When applied to modern dating and relationships, this principle becomes profoundly attractive. Many men obsess over questions such as whether she likes them, why she has not responded to a message, or whether she might lose interest. This fixation creates anxiety, and anxiety leaks into behavior through over-texting, over-explaining, or subtle pressure. Neediness is not unattractive because it is morally wrong. It is unattractive because it signals emotional dependence. From a psychological standpoint, many women are unconsciously evaluating whether a man will increase their stress or reduce it. A stoic man reduces chaos not by controlling the woman or suppressing her emotions, but by mastering his own internal state. When he does not react impulsively, when he listens instead of interrupting, and when he maintains composure during emotional moments, he creates a stabilizing effect. For example, if she comes home frustrated from work and begins venting about a difficult situation, a reactive man might try to immediately fix the problem or become irritated by her intensity. A grounded man listens attentively, acknowledges her feelings, and responds calmly without absorbing her stress. In doing so, he becomes associated with relief rather than escalation. Over time, this association strengthens emotional attachment. Now let's look at the 9 key ideas to becoming a man women are willing to fight for. 1. Emotional regulation, the hidden superpower. Emotional regulation is not suppression, it is mastery. Modern culture often promotes either emotional repression or emotional chaos. Stoicism promotes disciplined processing. Even Seneca wrote extensively about anger and the importance of controlling it rather than being ruled by it. In relationships, emotional regulation becomes critical. Imagine conflict. She expresses frustration. Her tone sharpens. Many men interpret this as disrespect or rejection and respond defensively. Defensiveness escalates tension. Escalation damages attraction. A regulated man pauses. He separates his ego from the moment. He listens for meaning rather than reacting to tone. From a psychological perspective, women often test emotional safety unconsciously. They are assessing whether a man can handle intensity without destabilizing. When you remain composed during emotionally charged moments, you demonstrate containment. Containment creates trust, and trust deepens emotional bonding. A man who cannot regulate his anger, jealousy, or anxiety becomes unpredictable. Unpredictability triggers stress. Chronic stress erodes attraction. Emotional regulation is quiet strength. It turns you into the emotional anchor rather than the emotional storm. 2. Detachment from outcome. Detachment does not mean indifference. It means internal security regardless of external results. When you need a relationship to validate your worth, you become hypersensitive. You monitor tone shifts. You overanalyze messages. You interpret delays as rejection. This creates clinginess or control behaviors. Detachment communicates abundance. When you genuinely accept that you will be okay if the relationship ends, your behavior changes. You become relaxed. You stop forcing conversations. You stop over-investing prematurely. You enjoy her presence without trying to secure ownership. Psychologically, attraction thrives in emotional space. If she feels that losing you is possible because you value yourself enough to walk away from disrespect, she invests more. Desperation repels. Self-contained desire attracts. The paradox is that letting go of fear increases connection. 3. The power of standards. Standards define your self-respect. Without standards, you tolerate inconsistent behavior. You ignore subtle disrespect. Over time, resentment builds and respect erodes. A Stoic man determines his values before conflict arises. He knows what behavior aligns with his principles and what does not. When boundaries are crossed, he addresses it calmly and directly. He does not threaten. He does not insult. He simply states his expectations and follows through if necessary. Women often respond strongly to men who are firm yet composed. Psychologically, boundaries signal strength and clarity. Strength fosters respect. Respect sustains attraction. If you accept everything, you stand for nothing. And if you stand for nothing, there is nothing to admire. Standards are not about control. They are about self-definition. 4. Purpose over pleasure. Short-term pleasure is easy. Purpose is difficult. Modern distractions are endless. Entertainment, scrolling, casual validation loops, impulsive indulgence. A man absorbed in pleasure-seeking often appears directionless. Purpose creates depth. Women are drawn to men with trajectory. Trajectory signals future stability and ambition. It suggests that life with this man will move forward rather than stagnate. Importantly, purpose prevents emotional overdependence. When a man lacks direction, he often makes the relationship his sole source of fulfillment. That pressure suffocates attraction. A man with purpose invites partnership rather than dependency. He does not orbit around her. He walks beside her while moving towards something meaningful. Purpose builds admiration. Admiration strengthens loyalty. 5. Calm under pressure. Crisis reveals character. Anyone can be charming when life is smooth, but when setbacks occur, financial stress, career challenges, health concerns, the nervous system activates. A reactive man spirals into panic or blame. A stoic man assesses the situation rationally. He identifies what he can control and takes immediate action there. Psychologically, women evaluate long-term partnership potential during stress. They subconsciously ask, can this man handle future storms? When you remain steady under pressure, you communicate resilience. Resilience builds trust. Trust builds long-term security. Your composure in adversity becomes evidence of reliability. 6. The art of silence. Silence is strategic restraint, not passive aggression. In the modern era of constant messaging, many men overcommunicate out of anxiety. They attempt to solve every shift in energy instantly. Silence demonstrates self-containment. If she needs space, you allow it. If tension arises, you respond thoughtfully rather than immediately. This creates emotional breathing room. Attraction requires tension, intention requires space. Over-pursuit eliminates tension and reduces polarity. Silence also increases perceived value. When you speak less but speak intentionally, your words carry weight. Controlled silence communicates confidence because it shows you are not desperate to fill every gap. 7. Vulnerability without weakness. True Stoicism allows emotion without surrendering to it. Even Marcus Aurelius reflected on grief and doubt privately, yet he led with composure. Modern relationships require emotional intelligence. Women value openness, but they are drawn to vulnerability that is grounded. There is a difference between sharing feelings and collapsing emotionally. Saying, "I felt disappointed and I am working through it," shows strength and self-awareness. Saying, "I cannot handle this unless you fix it for me," creates imbalance. Healthy vulnerability deepens intimacy because it invites connection without transferring emotional responsibility. It shows that you feel deeply but remain stable. 8. The inner world creates the outer response. Your internal beliefs shape your external behavior. If you believe you are not enough, you seek constant validation. If you believe she is superior to you, you pedestalize her. If you fear abandonment, you cling. Stoic practice involves challenging distorted perceptions. According to Epictetus, it is not events that disturb us, but our judgments about them. When you train your inner dialogue to be rational and disciplined, your body language shifts, your tone stabilizes, your decisions become measured. Women respond strongly to congruence. When your internal state aligns with your external behavior, you project authenticity. Authenticity fosters trust. Your inner world is the blueprint for your relational outcomes. 9. Scarcity versus presence. Scarcity mindset creates urgency and fear. Presence creates calm engagement. Scarcity sounds like, "I need this to work." Presence sounds like, "I appreciate this connection." When you operate from scarcity, you rush commitment, demand reassurance, and overextend effort. When you operate from presence, you listen, enjoy, and observe. Presence is rare in a distracted world. Many people half listen while thinking about their next move. A present man makes a woman feel seen and valued without pressure. Scarcity contracts energy. Presence expands it. Presence sustains attraction because it feels effortless rather than forced. Conclusion. A woman fights for a man when she respects him, feels emotionally safe with him, admires his direction, and recognizes that he values himself. Respect comes from standards. Safety comes from emotional regulation. Admiration comes from purpose. Security comes from calm strength. When you embody these consistently, you create relational gravity. She does not fight for you because you demand it. She fights for you because losing you would mean losing stability, direction, and depth. You cannot force devotion, but you can cultivate character. When your identity is rooted in discipline, clarity, and self-mastery, you stop trying to secure love through control. Instead, you attract it through strength. And in a world filled with emotional volatility and reactive behavior, the man who controls what he can, regulates his emotions, and walks his path with quiet confidence becomes rare. Rarity creates value. Value inspires loyalty, and loyalty is what makes someone fight to stay. If today's Stoic lesson has resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more. Thank you.